see the beautiful form of the deities. So nice to see like that. So we will continue reading the 51st chapter, Krishna the Ranchod. I'll read a couple of lines to bring up to the speed because we have one day in between that we didn't read, and then we will continue. It says, Krishna is the supreme powerful, the supreme wealthy, supreme famous, supreme wise, supreme beautiful. Similarly, he is the supreme renouncer. Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that he left the battlefield in spite of having ample military strength. Even without his militia, however, he alone would have been sufficient to defeat the army of Jarasandha, as he had done 17 times before. Therefore, his leaving the battlefield is an example of his supermost opulence of renunciation. Krishna is so kind. He acted in such a way to satisfy everybody. Somebody wants to consider him as an ordinary human being, he give a chance that he fled from the battlefield. He was fearful about the Jarasandha. So he satisfied everyone. At the same time, he satisfied the mind and hearts of his devotees by showing deep affections. That when he received the letter from Rukmini, he left the battlefield. So wonderful to hear and observe in the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. So after traversing a very long distance, the brothers pretended to become very tired. And to mitigate their weariness, they climbed up a very high mountain, several miles above the sea level. And this mountain was called Pravarshana Mountain, several miles above the sea level. Due to that call the name Pravarshana due to the constant rain on that mountain. And the peak was always covered with cloud sent by Indra. So Jarasandha took it for granted that the two brothers were afraid of his military power and had hidden themselves at the top of the mountain. So what he did first, he tried to find them and searching for a long time. But when he failed, he decided to trap and kill them by setting fires around the peak. Demoniac people. He therefore surrounded the peak with oil and set it on fire. How many gallons of oil he must have used? As the blaze spread more and more, Krishna and Balaram jumped from the top of the mountain down to the ground, a distance of about 88 miles. Thus, while the peak was burning up, Krishna and Balaram escaped without being seen by Jarasandha, what Krishna cannot do. Jarasandha concluded that the two brothers had been burned to ashes and that there was no need of further fighting. Thinking himself successful in his efforts, he left the city of Mathura and returned to his home in kingdom of Magadha. Gradually, Krishna and Balaram reached the city of Dwarka, which was surrounded on all sides by the sea. So following this, Sri Balaram married Revati, daughter of King Revata, the ruler of the Anartha province. This is explained in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After the marriage of Baldev, Krishna married Rukmini. Rukmini was the daughter of King Bhishmaka, ruler of the province known as Vidarbha. Just as Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead, Vasudev, Rukmini is the Supreme Goddess of Fortune, Mahalakshmi. And according to the authority of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expansion of Krishna and Sri Radharani is simultaneous. Krishna expands himself into various Vishnu Tattva forms, and Srimati Radharani expands herself into various Shakti Tattva forms by her internal potency as multiforms of the goddess of fortunes. So according to the Vedic convention, there are 8 kinds of marriages. Haribol. In the first class marriage system, the parents of the bride and bridegroom arrange the marriage date. Then in royal style, the bridegroom goes to the house of the bride, and in the presence of brahmanas, priests, and relatives, the bride is given in charity to the bridegroom. And beside this, there are other systems such as the Gandharva and Rakshasa marriages. Rukmini was married to Krishna in the Rakshasa style because she was kidnapped by him in the presence of his many rivals like Sisupal, Jarasandha, Salva, and others. So while Rukmini was being given in charity to Sisupal, she was snatched from the marriage arena by Krishna, exactly as Garuda snatched the pot of nectar from the demons. Rukmini, the only daughter of King Bhishmaka, was very beautiful. She was known as Ruchiranan, which means one who has a beautiful face expanding like a lotus flower. I think that our Ruchiranan Mataji will be happy to see the meaning of her name. Devotees of Krishna is always anxious to hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord. And his activities of fighting, kidnapping, and running away from the battlefield are all transcendental. Being on the absolute platform, and devotee take a transcendental interest in hearing of them. The pure devotees does not make the distinction that some activities of the Lord should be heard and others should be avoided. There is, however, a class of so-called devotees known as Prakriti Sahaja, who are very interested in hearing about Krishna's Rasa Lila with the gopis, but not about his fighting activities with his enemies. They do not know that his bellicose activities and his friendly activities with the gopis are equally transcendental. Being on the absolute platform, the transcendental pastimes of Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam are relished by pure devotees through submissive oral receptions. They do not reject even a drop. The story of Krishna's marriage with Rukmini is described as follows. Haribol, it would be nice to know the details, right? The king of Vidarbha, Maharaj Bhishmaka, was a very qualified and devoted prince. He had 5 sons and only 1 daughter. The first son was known as Rukmi, the second Rukmartha, the third Rukmabahu, the fourth and the youngest Rukmiksa, and the fifth Rukmamali. The brothers had one young sister, Rukmini. She was beautiful and chaste and was meant to be married to Lord Krishna. Many saintly persons and sages like Narad Muni and others used to visit the palace of King Bhishmaka. Naturally, Rukmini had a chance to talk with them, and in this way she obtained information about Krishna. She was informed about the six opulence of Krishna, and simply by hearing about him, she desired to surrender herself to his lotus feet and become his wife. Haribo. Krishna had also heard of Rukmini. She was the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, intelligence, liberal mindedness, beauty, and righteous behavior. Krishna therefore decided that she was fit to be his wife. All of the family members and relatives of King Bhishmaka decided that Rukmini should be given in marriage to Krishna. However, her elder brother Rukmi, despite the desire of the others, arranged for her marriage with Shishupal, a determined enemy of Krishna. And when the black-eyed, beautiful Rukmini heard the settlement, she immediately became very morose. However, being a king's daughter, she understood political diplomacy and decided that there was no use in simply becoming morose. Some step should be taken immediately. So after some deliberation, she decided to send a message to Krishna, and so that she might not be deceived, and selected a qualified Brahmana as her messenger. Such a qualified Brahmana is always truthful, and as a devotee of Vishnu, without delay, the Brahmana was sent to Dwarka. Reaching the gate of Dwarka, the Brahmana informed the doorkeeper of his arrival, and the doorkeeper led him to the place where Krishna was sitting on a golden throne. Since the Brahmana had the opportunity of being Rukmini's messenger, he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the original cause of all cause. A Brahmana is the spiritual teacher of all the social divisions. Lord Sri Krishna, in order to teach everyone the Vedic etiquette of how to respect Brahmana, immediately got up and offered him his throne. When the Brahmana was seated on the golden throne, Lord Sri Krishna began to worship him, exactly in the manner in which the demigod worships Krishna. So in this way, he taught everyone that worshipping his devotees is more valuable than worshipping himself. So in due time, the Brahmana took his bath, accepted his meal, and took to rest on a bedstead, completely bedecked with soft silk. As he was resting, Lord Sri Krishna silently approached and with great respect put the Brahmana's legs on his lap and began to massage them. Haribo. In this way, Krishna appeared before the Brahmana and said, "My dear Brahmana, I hope that you are executing the religious principle without any difficulty, and that your mind is always in a peaceful condition." Haribo. So if we want to become peaceful, we have to follow the religious principle so nicely. Different classes of people in the social system are engaged in various professions. And when one inquires as to the well being of a particular person, it must be done on the basis of that person's occupation. Therefore, when one inquires as to the welfare of a Brahmana, the question should be worded according to his condition of life so as not to disturb him. A peaceful mind is the basis for becoming truthful. Very well. Also, the base of cleanliness, equipoise, self control, and tolerant. So, everything comes to remain the peaceful in our devotional practice. So, Prabhupada always says that bhogi, mogi, mukti, all these gyanis, shakali asant, but Krishna's bhakta is only ata eva santa. Devotees only are peaceful. And in this peaceful life, they will gain all these things: truthfulness, cleanliness, equipoise, self control, and tolerance, which is very essential to perform the devotional practice. So, thus, by attaining knowledge and knowing its practical application in life, one becomes convinced about the absolute truth. The Brahmana knew Krishna to be the Supreme Personality Godhead, and still he accepted the respectful service of the Lord on the ground of Vedic social convention. Lord Sri Krishna was playing just like a human being, belonging to the Kshatriya division of the social system. And being a young boy, it was his duty to show respect to such a Brahmana. So Lord Sri Krishna continued, O best of all the Brahmanas, you should always remain satisfied, because if a Brahmana is always self-satisfied, he will not deviate from his prescribed duties. And simply by sticking to one's prescribed duties, everyone, especially the Brahmanas, can attain the highest perfection of all desires. What a secret! We have to remain satisfied in whatever situation we are in. I always tell my children, no matter how good time come or the bad time come, accept and live peacefully. We need to learn to accept different conditions because it's gonna come in our life. It's ever-changing situation, as His Holiness Rita Swami Maharaj was mentioning yesterday in his Sunday Fest class. Even if a person is an opulent as the king of heaven, Indra, if he is not satisfied, he inevitably has to transmigrate from one planet to another. Such a person can never be happy under any circumstances. But this is the big word. If a person's mind is satisfied, even if he is bereft of his high position, he can be happy living anywhere and everywhere. This is something wonderful to know. These instructions of Krishna to the Brahmana is very significant. The purport is that a true Brahmana should not be disturbed in any situation. Haribol. In this modern age of Kali Yuga, the so-called Brahmanas have accepted the abnormal positions of a Sudras or less than Sudras and still want to pass as qualified Brahmanas. Actually, A qualified Brahmana always sticks to his own duties and never accept those of a Sudra or of one less than a Sudra. It is advised in the authorized scripture that the Brahmana may, under awkward circumstances, accept the profession of a Kshatriya or even a Vaishya, but never is he to accept the profession of a Sudra. So Lord Krishna declared that the Brahmana should never be disturbed by any adverse conditions of life if he scrupulously stick to his religious principles. So in conclusion, always Krishna give the final words. Lord Krishna says, I offer my respect obeisances to the Brahmana and Vaishnavas because the Brahmanas are always self-satisfied and the Vaishnavas are always engaged in actual welfare activity for the human society. No obstacles should come in our practice. They are the best friend of the people in general. Both are free from false egoism and are always in peaceful conditions of mind. Ask yourself where you are standing. Wonderful test Krishna is giving as a conclusion. So Lord Krishna then desired to know about the rulers, Kshatriyas in the Brahmana's kingdom. So he inquired whether the citizens of the kingdom were all happy. A king's qualification is judged by the temperament of the people in the kingdom. This is what the culture was. As I was saying that even untimely death happens, people used to protest. What is happening in your kingdom? Now so many horrible things is happening. A king's qualification judged by the temperament of the people in the kingdom. If they are very happy in all respect, it is to be understood that the king is honest and executing his duties rightly. Krishna said that the king in whose kingdom the citizens are happy is very dear to him. Haribol. Of course, Krishna could understand that the Brahmana had come with a confidential message. Therefore, he said, if you have no objections, I'm giving you permission to speak about your mission. Thus, being very satisfied by this transcendental pastime with the Lord, the Brahmana narrated the whole story of his mission to come and see Krishna. He got out of the letter which Rukmini has written to Krishna. You know, Sachinanand Swami Maharaj was saying that the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is also the same way. If we will just look at the envelope, the external thing, without opening the envelope to read the inside message, our chanting will remain like an envelope unless we get and read inside, go deeper. So same way over here it says that he got out the letter which Rukmini had written to Krishna and said, these are the words of Princess Rukmini. My dear Krishna, O infallible and most beautiful one, any human being who happens to hear about your transcendental form and pastime immediately absorbs through his ears your name particularly, fame and qualities. Thus, all his material pangs subsides and he fixes your form in his heart. This is what is required. And this is Krishna is revealing that once we hear the holy name very nicely, then we will be able to, Krishna will enter in the inner chamber of our heart. Thus all his material pangs subside. So if we are still hankering, that shows that we have not yet received the holy name in the inner core of our heart. And then he fixes your form in his heart. Through such transcendental love for you, he sees you always within himself. And by this process, all his desires become fulfilled. Hari Bol. We don't have to, I don't know, I was talking to different people who work in the IT, and man, what kind of life they are living, it's horrible. One of the devotees was saying that, oh, they give you the different, I don't remember those technical words what they use in IT, but they assign you different, assignment, and they will give you 12, 13 projects. Only thing the devotee was telling me that they are only interested that each application, how much money are you bringing? They don't care you are sleeping or not sleeping. And a lot of the time I say that is, devotee says, Prabhu, you are 100% right. Corporation just giving the money, they are sucking the blood. And one devotee frankly told me that he was getting phone call any time of the night, doesn't allow him to sleep. So he decided that he need to talk to his CEO one day. So he gathered the strength, and then he talked to the CEO. And the CEO responded, hey brother, you are complaining about these 14 items. Look at my life. I have been bombarded with many, many. I'm even have to face with even worse situation than you. So this is the corporate world is going on. I don't know how the next generation will live. And that's why we are distressful life, stressful life. We are becoming sick and tired. And that's why our health is not good. Somehow or other, I don't know. Like yesterday I visited and the son, I gave him the advice. And he's so beautiful that he is so austere life he has accepted. Amazing. I told him that don't spend the money. Just save the money and retire at 47. Don't wait until, because when you will retire, maybe the retirement to receive your social security check will be maybe 70 years. And government wants you to work up to the last minute that you exist on this planet. And that's where we are heading. Give a good instructions to your sons and daughters that they should remain aloof from those things. We have already reached 656. I think we should, I have not completed the paragraph, but I will stop here. That if we want to become free from the material pangs, take complete shelter of the holy name. And he promises us that he make everything nice in our life. And I have experience in my life, so I can speak heavily with full conviction in my heart. He take care so nicely that my boss was never was able to force upon anything, because I'm ready to walk out at any moment. I never work like a, I don't want to use the word, but anyway, thank you very much. Let's give the time to the devotees who wants to have their prescribed duties to perform. With this thought, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the dusk of this wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. When I hear about what they have to grow through, I don't know, I feel like in my life I have never experienced such a thing. My life was very smooth from the beginning to end. And I don't know what I did, but Krishna and Guru was so kind. So with those thoughts, I would like to always remain happy, jubilant, and totally fearless. Take complete shelter of the holy name, and you will see how strong you will become. and all the needs that we think is necessary will be provided wonderfully by Krishna. I have never had any anxiety. We never become sick that much, except I got the brain hemorrhage, but I take it very nicely, staying at home. And that's what I have decided. And I have got now a lot of confirmation from different exalted Vaishnava that yes, Shyamsundar set an example that Krishna take care of his devotees. You have been perfectly situated to set a good example. That's what they say. So go for it. And I'm very happy. So I would like to offer my obeisances to those devotees who joined from Houston, Fresno, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Aurora, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Boston, Boise, Atlanta, Phoenix, Tempe, Austin, College Station, San Jose, Portland, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago, Naperville, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Baltimore, Baton Rouge, Alachua, Orlando, Sanford, Jacksonville, Ohio, St. Louis, San Diego, Loganville, Georgia, Maine, Ottawa, New Orleans, Toronto, Kolkata, and New Delhi. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much for wonderful satsang this morning. And we can see that, overeating, how much struggle was there. It's you can see